So we have management teams that are developing business models that are based on customer needs that are constantly changing, technologies that are constantly changing. Management teams are in the world right now. Everybody has access to the same information. Technology is really no longer the edge anymore. Insight about a customer need isn't necessarily an edge anymore. It comes down to who's going to execute best and fastest, and particularly with their marketing and their sales and their branding, which is the key ingredients of going out and commercializing something. The speed of execution is largely determined by culture because, as you pointed out before, culture is the stuff that tends to result in a bunch of team members being aligned.
Culture is critical, and when I look back at all the companies that I've invested in or I've seen, I think that great culture has existed in only a small proportion of them, but those are the companies that have done best. The one characteristic of great culture, though, is the leader. I've often heard the expression neuroses. The neuroses of a company flows right to the top. So, you know, if a leader is closed and somewhat paranoid, well, after a period of time, all of the direct reports somehow seem to take on the same characteristics. The ideal leader is somebody that can sing, juggle, and dance, of course, at the same time, but it's somebody that is inspirational, where the team will line up behind and walk through fire for. So, you know, a great culture in the early days may be an inspirational leader and a bunch of people that aren't being paid very much or not paid at all, but yet they believe so much in the mission and the leader that they're willing to forsake a good salary or an opportunity at a different, more stable firm.
Every company has a culture, right? If you do nothing consciously to develop one, by default, you're going to end up with a culture, and it's usually the characteristics, as you say, of the person in charge. For me, the experience has been the firms that have actually had the discipline to take the time to understand what culture is, and then take some very specific steps to develop it in the way that they think best fits the market opportunity, are the ones that have been the most successful. And it gets really important as you scale, you know, because you can have a leader that is in on every hire when you're 20 people, but when you want to grow and you get north of 100, the characteristics of that leader, or what the group has decided are the characteristics of the culture, need to be embedded somewhere, so that as you move down the line and the next layer is deciding who to come in and help scale with, they've got a playbook as to the type of people that are going to be most conducive to success. So how proactive are you willing to be, and how, because, you know, this is the kind of work that doesn't close the next deal Saturday or meet payroll Friday. But I've seen very few companies scale past, you know, 20 million in sales, 50 employees, without some thought given to, you know, what kind of place are we trying to build here?
You need to ask questions early, and the questions need to be tough questions. And, you know, they may revolve around sitting down with the CEO and saying, listen, do you still think your head of sales has what it takes? Because our sense is he doesn't. And if your gut is saying that, and if the CEO admits that his gut is also saying the same thing, then it's probably true that there is a problem, and the problem is overdue to being addressed. Now, without having that kind of frank discussion, sooner or later it may become so obvious that action needs to be taken. But you need to ask those questions early, and you need to follow your gut. And you hope that as a VC, if you're posing those tough questions, that you'll be able to adjust, bring the right people in at the right time, make substitutions, all of the hard decisions that come along with a fast-growing company.
We look for people in our culture that have the grit and the stamina and the determination to see it through, right? And by extension, when we look to invest in entrepreneurs, those are the kind of characteristics, along with being able to have the conversation as things change. That's the kind of people we look to back.